Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In what's being called one of the most shocking military incidents in recent years, survivors are now speaking out after a devastating U.S. airstrike reportedly hit a small Caribbean island, leaving the world in disbelief. The attack, which the Pentagon claims was a precision operation, has sparked outrage, confusion, and demands for accountability from global leaders. Tonight, we bring you the voices of survivors, the official statements, and what this could mean for America's image on the global stage. It all began late at night when residents of the quiet coastal community of Saint Maren, a tiny island between Dominica and St. Lucia, were jolted awake by the sound of explosions. Witnesses describe seeing bright flashes lighting up the sky, followed by fire raining down from above. Within minutes, entire neighborhoods were reduced to rubble. Local fishermen say they saw what appeared to be U.S. drones flying low over the island just before the explosions. "I heard a loud boom, then my house shook," said one survivor named Javier Morales. "When I ran outside, I saw flames everywhere. People were screaming and the sky was red." According to early reports, the airstrike destroyed several warehouses near the island's main port, which U.S. intelligence allegedly believed were being used to transport weapons linked to an anti-American militia operating in the region. But local authorities strongly deny this claim. The Prime Minister of Saint Maren, Elena Desrosiers, stated that the targeted area contained nothing but fishing storage, local homes, and a small aid facility. The human toll has been heartbreaking. Rescue teams have confirmed at least 57 fatalities so far, including women and children. Hospitals are overwhelmed, with medical staff treating hundreds of injuries from burns to shrapnel wounds. Aid groups are rushing in supplies, but access remains difficult due to the destruction of key roads and power lines. For many survivors, this isn't just about the physical devastation, it's about the feeling of betrayal. "We are not enemies of the United States," said one woman tearfully in an interview. "Why did they attack us? We are poor people, not soldiers." Her words have since gone viral, fueling a global debate about American military actions abroad. The U.S. government has maintained that the operation was based on credible intelligence, linking the area to an arms smuggling network that allegedly threatened U.S. interests in the Caribbean. However, critics argue that Washington acted hastily and without sufficient evidence, violating international law and the sovereignty of a small island nation. At the United Nations, emergency talks have already been called. Several Caribbean and Latin American countries are demanding an independent investigation. The Secretary General has expressed grave concern over the reports of civilian casualties and urged restraint. Meanwhile, Washington faces growing pressure to release the intelligence that led to the strike. Inside the United States, the incident has ignited fierce debate. Some defense analysts argue that it's a tragic example of the dangers of over-reliance on drone intelligence and remote warfare. Others claim that it reflects a deeper pattern of U.S. military strategy that prioritizes rapid action over accuracy. Political voices on Capitol Hill are divided. Opposition leaders are demanding transparency, saying that the American people deserve to know why bombs fell on innocent civilians. However, Pentagon officials insist that the operation was lawful, necessary, and precise. But as more footage emerges, that claim is being questioned. Satellite images show widespread destruction across a 2-kilometer radius far greater than a limited precision strike. Burned-out vehicles, flattened homes, and craters the size of buses mark the impact zone. Video clips taken by locals show chaos, panic, and heartbreaking cries for help. International reaction has been swift and severe. Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua have condemned the attack as an act of imperial aggression. Even traditional U.S. allies, including Canada and France, have called for a full and transparent inquiry. The Organization of American States is set to hold an emergency session to discuss possible sanctions or resolutions condemning the strike. But behind the diplomatic fallout lies the human story, the voices of the survivors who are trying to rebuild from ashes. One fisherman, his hands still bandaged from burns, told reporters, "We were sleeping. My wife and 2 daughters were in the house. The roof came down and I heard my youngest crying. I dug with my bare hands to pull her out. She's alive, but she doesn't speak now. His story mirrors dozens of others of families torn apart, of children who lost parents, of homes turned into graves. In makeshift tents set up along the coast, hundreds of displaced people now sleep under plastic sheets, waiting for aid that's slow to arrive. Aid organizations, including the Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders, have called the situation catastrophic. The lack of electricity and clean water has raised fears of a secondary humanitarian crisis, disease outbreaks, starvation, and psychological trauma. Meanwhile, journalists on the ground are facing restrictions. Several media crews reported being denied access to certain zones, allegedly due to security reasons. Locals suspect it's an attempt to hide the true scale of destruction. Drone footage leaked online, however, paints a grim picture: entire blocks reduced to dust, smoke still rising days after the attack. Experts believe the incident could have major geopolitical consequences. The Caribbean has long been considered a peaceful region, but this strike could push neighboring nations to rethink their relationships with Washington. Some analysts suggest this may drive Caribbean nations closer to alternative powers like China or Russia, who have both expressed solidarity with Saint Maren and criticized U.S. recklessness. But perhaps the biggest fallout is the moral one. The images of survivors dazed, crying, and covered in ash have reignited global debates about U.S. foreign policy. How many times, critics ask, must innocent civilians pay the price for intelligence failures? A UN human rights representative summarized it best. This tragedy is not just about one island. It's about accountability, justice, and the right of every human being to live without fear of being bombed in their sleep. In Washington, officials are walking a tightrope. A White House spokesperson expressed regret for civilian loss of life, but stopped short of issuing an apology. Behind closed doors, sources suggest that the Pentagon is conducting an internal review, though whether the findings will be made public remains unclear. Meanwhile, survivor stories continue to emerge online, spreading rapidly across social media. Hashtags like #Caribbean Airstrike and #Voices of Saint Maren have gone viral, with millions demanding justice and an international inquiry. One video, now seen by over 20 million people, shows a young girl sitting among the rubble, holding a photograph of her parents. Through tears, she says, "This was my home. My mother cooked here. Now it's all gone." Her message has become a haunting symbol of the tragedy. Across the Caribbean, protests are erupting. In Jamaica, Trinidad, and Barbados, demonstrators gathered outside U.S. embassies chanting, "No more bombs, no more lies." Leaders of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, have vowed to push for a formal UN investigation and reparations for the victims. But for the people of Saint Maren, the road to recovery will be long. The island's infrastructure is shattered. Tourism, its main economic lifeline, has collapsed, and thousands remain displaced. International aid is trickling in, but rebuilding will take years. Still, amid the ruins, resilience remains. Volunteers from neighboring islands are arriving by boat with food, medicine, and blankets. Survivors are helping each other clear debris and search for missing loved ones. As one community elder put it, "They destroyed our homes, but not our spirit." And that spirit of survival, unity, and the demand for truth may be what ultimately changes the narrative. For now, the world watches and waits. Will the U.S. take responsibility? Will justice be served for the innocent lives lost? Or will this tragedy fade into another forgotten headline? Time will tell, but one thing is certain: the survivors of Saint Maren have made their voices heard, and their words will echo far beyond the Caribbean Sea. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.